welcome to Mike Drops the Mic. I'm Mike Lyman. Today I am joined by two peak degenerates, one of them being Brandon Lesh, calling in from what looks like Cleveland, Ohio, but he is down here in South Florida. Brandon, why do you
Browns
get all
fan
the
at
Brown
heart.
stuff on?
Browns fan at heart, man. Big season, a lot of expectations, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. We're ready to roll. We're not afraid of anyone. Frankly, I'm glad we got Houston. I
Yeah,
don't think the Jags would have been a big issue for us. So looking forward to it.
I heard that Joe Flacco woke up the other night sweating, dreaming of CJ Stroud. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But we also are joined by Anthony DeTullio. Anthony is calling in from Cleveland. Anthony, you've been on before. We had a good conversation with James Woods. But how you doing, Anthony? How's it going?
I'm doing good, Mike. I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to talk some degenerate football. And I contemplated wearing my Browns jersey with Brandon there, but I decided against it because I'm going to be a little bit more neutral. I'm going to be fair today.
I'm not picking sides, I see, huh?
Nah, I can't do that.
So, I mean, we talked about doing this a while ago during the regular season. Essentially, we just wanted to keep track of, who we thought was going to win the games, keep track of spreads, money lines, make predictions on the games. But ultimately, we didn't. So now here we are in the playoffs. We have the first round coming in this upcoming weekend. So we figured, what the hell, we might as well give it a shot now. So before we do that, I didn't mention this to you guys, but I thought we could warm up by just talking about three news stories that came out today. One of them has been circulating for a while involving Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick is in New England still, but there's rumors that he hasn't met with Robert Kraft yet, and there's questions about his future in New England. Brandon, what do you think about that? Do you think Bill Belichick should stay in New England, or do you think this next season somebody else should take the team?
I think New England's problems stem from a lot of things. Belichick not really being one of them. I think his best years are probably a little bit behind him as far as the statistics are going to be concerned with. But at the end of the day, no matter if he moves out or moves in, New England needs some help offensively and defensively. They don't really have a roster. They have nobody to help out. So if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm looking at it from that situation that, yeah, they didn't do so hot, but they really don't have any stars on their team. So that's from an organizational standpoint, that's how I'd look at it. However, the questions about Belichick, do I think he wants to or he should stay, whatnot? If I'm Belichick, I'm calling any team I can to get me out of that, get me away from that organization. He's proved that he could do it. He's won Super Bowls with them. Yes, he had Tom Brady, but he's at the end of the day, they're his rings as well. I think Belichick needs a fresh start. Doesn't have that many years left of coaching anyway. I think he needs a fresh start and a fresh team.
And he's not that far off from having the all-time win record as a coach. Could actually get it done within the next two seasons, likely. One of the spots that's opening that some of the people are talking about is him joining the Chargers now that they don't have their head coach. So, Anthony, what do you think about that? Do you think Bill Belichick could go to the Chargers? Do you think he could find success with the offense there? Or do you see him staying in New England?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The Chargers, high-powered offense. I mean, I love Justin Herbert as long as his receivers can stay healthy. I mean, they've got a great team there. The defense needs a little bit of work, but I think they've got the pieces to make a playoff run in the coming years for sure. Uh, Bill Belichick coming in, pulling everybody together, rallying around a franchise QB. I mean, he's used to that, obviously, with Tom Brady. That'd be a great play to make, in my opinion. I want to see Justin Herbert succeed. I love the guy. So, not just because he was my fantasy quarterback this year, but I think he's a great QB, and I think building a team around him with Bill Belichick would be incredible.
Yeah, and the thing about Bill Belichick too, you talked about all those Super Bowls that he won with Tom Brady. Those first two, three Super Bowls, it could be said that it was the defense that won that game. Had Adam Vinatieri as well. So, Bills, he's got a lot of defense knowledge. So if he can bring that to the Chargers with that high power offense, they might have something there. But another name that came up today was Mike Vrabel. He was fired from the Titans today as the head coach. He is no longer there. And there's a lot of thought that, okay, if Bill does go, could it be Mike Vrabel returning to New England to be the head coach there? He's a defensive guy, played football there for the Patriots under Belichick. He knows the system. Anthony, what do you think about that? Do you think that would be a good fit for Mike Vrabel coming back to New England?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting call for sure. I mean, I know the Titans had a rough year, but they definitely had the pieces in play to be a good team. They had their struggles at quarterback, of course, but if he ends up going to the Patriots, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Yeah, I'm not sure honestly what to think about that. If he couldn't succeed with the Titans, who are a little bit more put together, I mean, that's gonna be rough.
Well, Mike Vrabel had a good couple seasons there in Tennessee, but the last two seasons, his team has been in the bottom of the division, not having winning records. Do you think a winning record is something he could bring to New England, Brandon?
It's tough. Like I said earlier, you have a lot of these questions about the players, and I think that's just as, if not more important than who you have calling those plays. As far as I'm concerned, New England can have, the greatest coach of all time, and some say in Belichick there, and not produce. So it's tough to have somebody else who's coming from, Tennessee, like Anthony was saying, probably not the best year this year. Got a little bit of stars, but how many years does Henry really have left? We saw a little bit of a decline in at least his yards this year. That is. So it would be nice, a nice little story about the reunion and everything. The defense is it's big in Vrabel's whole coaching approach. But at the end of the day, they need to tear down and build back up, in my opinion. And if Vrabel's the one to do it, so be it. And if that's the case, I'd like to see him give him maybe 2-3 years to do that. No matter what they do, this can't be a 1 year, one in out coach. Like coming from a Browns fan, we've seen it before. Somebody comes in, they do terrible. They probably weren't put in the best situation, and then they get kicked out. So I'd like to see New England stick with somebody at least 2-3 years, get some draft picks, maybe make some trades, and see what they can do.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. I like that idea of committing to the coach. That 1 year turnover rate is just so detrimental to an organization. I think Vrabel could be the guy. It'd be a feel good story, and I'd be here for it. The last thing I want to say before we get into the playoff push is close to my heart, so I have to bring it up. Yesterday, there's rumors coming out about Mike Tomlin that Adam Schefter reported, and Jay Glazer did too, that Mike Tomlin may be looking to take a leave and take a break from the Steelers after this season. Similar, it seems like, to what Sean Payton did. Sean Payton was coach for the Saints all those years, took time off. He did a little bit of TV work, and then he's back coaching for Denver this year. I don't know how I feel about it because, it seems like I've got the Steelers hat on. I'm cheering for the Steelers, but we get to the playoffs and we can't get a win, and I heard a quote that you never want to be in the middle of the pack, right? You either want to be at the bottom or at the top because you have room to improve or you have room to stay. When you're in the middle of the pack, where you're good enough to make the playoffs but can't win a championship, that's a dangerous area to stay. And the Steelers, it seems like, have stayed there since. Seems like we really haven't been a threat to win the Super Bowl since Le'Veon, AB, Shazier, when we had that team. So I'd hate to see Tomlin go, but if he takes a break, I would understand it. However, it came out today that Polamalu said, he's very soft spoken, he doesn't say much in interviews. He said that he thought it would be absolutely crazy if Tomlin left, and he has it on good authority that Tomlin will be staying. So it's kind of interesting that this news would come up in a crucial playoff week. Brandon, what do you think? Do you think Tomlin take a year off, kind of burn out a little bit, or do you think he stays?
I think if he were to take a year off, I think it puts the whole organization kind of in a panic, not really a win now mode for next season. If he were to take that year off, he's been with the team for, a good amount of years. And you always have that, who's going to be your interim head coach? Are they going to mesh well with the players? Do they have the same respect as they do to Tomlin? There's a very slippery slope you go down when you talk about taking a leave. And then you have the question of, is he going to come back to the Steelers after a year, or is he going to go somewhere else like Sean Payton did? So I think if you're, looking at it from an outsider perspective and my bias aside, uh, Tomlin has been a good head coach for the Steelers. He hasn't, in my opinion, and I know a couple Steelers friends who would agree with me, that he hasn't been excellent in the fact that he's only got that one ring, and it was right when he was coming in, getting the team handed off to him. I'm not putting anything against him, but at the same time, I think from his standpoint, he has to realize that and silence these haters in a way and say, you know what, I am this head coach. I can get a Super Bowl ring. We can build a good organization here, get the Steelers healthy, figure out a quarterback situation, and maybe make a run for it. I don't think putting a pause on already underlying problem is gonna fix that underlying problem at all.
Anthony, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with one of Brandon's last points there. I mean, uh, I think Tomlin has the right idea. I think he can get the Steelers a ring. There's a couple of hiccups that they had throughout the season. Matt Canada being fired and Kenny Pickett going out there at the end of the season. I would have liked to see things start to click, kind of like how they have a little bit with Mason Rudolph now at the helm. But I think they iron out some of those issues that they had, a couple bumps along the way this season. And I mean, they're in the playoffs now. I mean, who's to say next season they get all that stuff sorted out and, maybe they make a deeper run. We'll see how they do that at the end of this year.
Yeah, and final point to that, I just want to say that, next season we're going to need an offensive coordinator for the Steelers. But if Tomlin's gone, we're going to need a head coach. And one guy who I'd like to see join the organization again would be Byron Leftwich. He was Big Ben's backup quarterback. He had success coaching. I'd like to see him in there, either offensive coordinator or as the head coach, if it were to come to that. But moving on, we have the playoffs coming up this weekend. The first game is Saturday at 4:30. We have the Cleveland Browns heading to Houston to play the Texans. I'd be wrong if I didn't start with the guy with the Myles Garrett jersey and the Browns flag. Brandon, how do you see this game going? Who's winning? And tell me why.
Man, before I even say that, it almost brings a tear to my eye hearing that sentence that the Browns are in the playoffs. We're buzzing. We've had huge wins. It's a great time to be a Browns fan. However, I'm going to look at this game as if I don't have the Myles Garrett jersey on and I don't have the flag on the wall. I'm going to look at it, with as minimal bias as I can. I think that CJ Stroud is an excellent quarterback. I think he's a rookie, and the things that he's proven as a rookie are insane. However, I think that the way that the Browns defense is coached by Jim Schwartz, all of our players that we have, small possibility Grant Delpit comes back. No official word on that, but there's rumors that he could be eligible to come off of IR by Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. But I think this defense is going to be too much for CJ Stroud. Historically, these last couple games, I remember when he played, I believe it might have been Baltimore. He did not play too well against that Baltimore defense. Some say that the Browns and Baltimore have similar defenses in a way that were very high ranked, both teams. And I just think we're going to be too much for Stroud. We're going to complicate things. Our D line is going to get pressure. By no means do I think this is going to be a Browns blowout, but I do think Cleveland's going to get the edge on this one. And I think the defense that has put up historic numbers this season is going to be a little bit too much for CJ Stroud.
Brandon, give me a score prediction. Tell me how this is going to end.
So I have it written down here. I had two scores and then I scratched them out, and I went with my heart here. think it's going to be a 28-17 game. And I know that score maybe sound a little, it's a little large in margin here, but I think the Browns are going to start off hot, and the Texans are going to stay with it. And then in the last fourth quarter, I think the Browns are going to really show that they're a different team, they're a playoff team, and maybe get to go ahead touchdowns and hold the Texans to 3 or something, make it 28-17.
I love that, Brandon. And, I'm going to echo some of the same words, but I'm going to add a little bit something that I was talking to somebody about yesterday. I hate saying this, I got my Steelers hat on, but I'm also going to be completely non-biased. There's something very special happening in Cleveland right now. And this is something that's similar to when Baker was there and they went on that deep playoff run. Their bracket right now is set up for Cleveland going a little bit of a run here. I have Cleveland winning the game 24-14. I think that I think CJ Stroud, rookie of the year, I think he's just, he hasn't been in the playoffs yet. We don't know what to expect. In worst case scenario, he's playing the Browns defense, who's phenomenal. I think there's something special that Joe Flacco has going on right now. It's like Rocky Balboa's last fight. There's just something about going out as a champ, going out on top, giving it everything you have at the end. And it seems like that's what Joe Flacco is doing right now in the twilight years. So, yeah, I got Browns 24-14 over Texans. Anthony, what do you think?
I gotta agree with both of you guys. I think that the Texans are going to jump out to an early lead. They got a high-powered offense even without Tank Dell. They get Singletary going maybe a little bit, and then Nico Collins. I mean, he's a phenomenal receiver, especially with CJ Stroud at the helm. So I think they jump out to an early lead, but then the Browns defense wakes up a little bit. They catch a little bit of fire and then shuts down that Texans offense. I think Joe Flacco, like you said, he's in his twilight years. It's going to be something special this first round here. I'm going to say 24-20. A little bit of a weird score, but I think in the second half, the Browns defense is just going to eat up the Texans.
I like it.
I want to add on to that too.
Yes, sir.
I got a player to watch for this game on the defense. Linebacker number 6, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, has been balling out. I was at the Thursday night game against the Jets. The man is unbelievable, super quick, and that's going to be the player to watch for me during this game.
Yeah, well, I know you're also on top of this, Brandon, because you're Brandon. But coming up, you got any little? Just give me a little bet you got put in, maybe a little something.
Oh yeah,
cooking.
Oh yeah. So if we're gonna keep it simple here,
I just want the Browns. I don't want anything else right now. Just give me the Browns.
Yeah, we'll keep it simple with just the Browns game. I got an alternate spread parlay of the Browns -2.5. Joe Flacco to throw over 1.5 touchdowns, which he has done in every start as a Cleveland Brown this year. And the total over on the game, going to tease the over down to over 39.5. And that's going to be my 3-leg parlay lock of the week.
What are the odds on that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know with the over 1.5 with Joe Flacco, but I do know that the spread and the over that I mentioned is like +140. So if you throw in Joe Flacco, which is I think -120, probably going to get to the +200 area.
All right, so
we're going to throw 4 units on it. 4.
All right, well, I tell you what, there's a little cherry on top of that pick. Thank you, Brandon. Always appreciated. So Saturday, we had the Bills come to Miami and absolutely prove once again that maybe the Dolphins aren't as high power as we once thought they were. So because of
potential
frauds, and Anthony, I'm coming right to you. We got the Dolphins now traveling to Arrowhead Stadium to play the Chiefs. Anthony, you like Mahomes as much as the next guy, but I tell you what, is this not a revenge game for Tyreek Hill? Is this not a situation where maybe we look at Tyreek Hill for over 100 yards? Anthony, tell me how this game's going to go.
Oh, I mean, you're right. It absolutely is a revenge game for Tyreek Hill, and he always gets his. I mean, the Bills did shut him down a little bit, but I think that's more in part to Tua not being the quarterback that Mahomes is. So I think, Dolphins, they start off hot. but they have those mistakes and it just snowballs and then they can't get anything going. So if they're going into Arrowhead, one of the craziest stadiums, I mean, they got to minimize those mistakes. And I know the Chiefs offense does struggle a little bit, but they are a playoff team. That's where they excel. They've shown it year after year now with this team they've got. Andy Reid keeps those guys together like nothing I've ever seen. So, I mean, whenever we go and watch this game, I mean, I still think no matter what, I think the Chiefs are taking it.
Give me a score prediction, Anthony. How do you see it going?
Oh boy. I don't know. I think it'll be close at the start up until halftime. And then, I think the Chiefs are going to make those adjustments. I think, they're going to set that defense to throw Tua off his game. And then I'm seeing Chiefs probably 35. We'll go 35-24.
And one of the reasons I think you're putting up that many points is because the Dolphins, man, are they injured? Man, are they beat up on defense? They're going through it right now. We didn't have Waddle last week, and their Mostert's been injured, and Chubb had that late injury the other week. So yeah, they're battle tested right now. Does not help they're going into Arrowhead. And I don't even want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything about is Taylor Swift going to be at the game or not? Because I'll tell you right now, who will be at the game will be Andy Reid. And it's going to come time when Dolphins come to Arrowhead. And, Kelsey hasn't put up as many fantasy points for my team as I would have liked this season, but Chiefs are going to find a way. I have Chiefs winning 21-17. Disappointing, though, because I thought at the beginning of the season that the Dolphins could be the team to make it from the AFC to the Super Bowl. They win against the bad teams. They don't win against the good teams. Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. This is a tough one. I've been watching a lot of Dolphins this year. As the move down here, they become my second favorite team, I think. And they just haven't shown me anything the last couple weeks here against these big teams. It all started with the Ravens, and then it just kind of went downhill. Like you said, they are extremely beat up. Losing Bradley Chubb was huge. We saw that. So I got the Chiefs, especially going into Arrowhead. I got the Chiefs, and I got them covering. I think it's going to be a little bit of a blowout here. I'm looking at 34-21 with the Chiefs.
Very good. Very good. So we got high points coming from you two, from the Chiefs then. All right.
If Darius Tony can catch the ball, yeah.
Yeah, if Tony can.
And Kelsey. I think this is the week. The Chiefs are a playoff team. I think this is the week where Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey get back together. Kelsey catches maybe 8 balls, let's say over 100 yards. Maybe he's throwing a touchdown there, possibly throw it in a parlay. I don't know. But I think they really get their stuff together this week.
Last thing on this game, do you guys think it's wise to put, maybe put a little buck on Tyreek Hill, go 100 plus, get some receptions and a touchdown? Is he going to have a good game coming back? Think so?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, who else are they going to they're going to? I don't think Waddle's going. I could be wrong on that, but I think Waddle's still out. So, I mean, who else are you going to throw it to?
And even if Waddle does go, it's a revenge game. You got to go.
Yeah. Right.
So, all right. Next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers squeaking by into the playoffs. It's a miracle, but again, it's not because it's Mike Tomlin. Like I said, we don't win games in the playoffs, but here we are going against the 2 seed, the Buffalo Bills. If I had my pick, this would probably be my least favorite team to play in the opening week, just based off their 5-game winning streak, even though we have a 3-game winning streak. I don't like the idea of going into Buffalo, but Anthony, you go first. I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one. I think a lot of it is going to come down to how well these teams stay glued together. The Bills have been notorious this season for having problems, and they put it together at the end of the season. But, it always seems like they implode at some point. In previous years here, it's been against, I think the Chiefs the last couple. And now with Mason Rudolph at quarterback is Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's going to be back this first round here, right?
Kenny Pickett, they're not playing. They're sticking with the hot hand. Mason Rudolph's winning. We're keeping Mason Rudolph going. Pickett is the backup still.
Oh boy. Okay. So, I mean, with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, I mean, they've been throwing the ball a lot more than what we've been seeing the Steelers do, which I like to see. That's what you're going to have to do against a team like the Bills. They're going to have to shut down Josh Allen's run game one way or another. They can't let him scramble. They can't let him get loose. Um, but even so, I hate to go against you, Mike, but I don't know if the Steelers are coming out of Buffalo with a win there.
Well, I'm not sure if you're against me yet. I mean, you're against my team support, but I'm not sure if you're against my pick. But speaking of picks, let's hear Brandon's. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my bias aside, I think Pittsburgh's in trouble. TJ Watt's out. That's a huge piece of their defense there. And last week, I mean, I hear all these things about George Pickens, and he gets shut down last week. So obviously they made it work. But to play devil's advocate, they're playing the Ravens backups. So there's two sides to every story. You got to weigh your options and whatnot. Have they looked better than they looked previously? Yes. Mason Rudolph is, I think, an upgrade as of how Kenny Pickett was playing compared to how Rudolph's playing now. I think it's a clear upgrade. But I have a hard time seeing that they established themselves. They're kind of all over the place. Najee's really been picking up the last couple of weeks, which is something that in the beginning of the season we didn't really see from them. So there's some flashes of hope here, but going back to what you said, Mike, when you started, Buffalo's not the team you want to mess around with, and Buffalo's not the team that you want to find that, find your niche with. They're a powerhouse. They're playing hot. Josh Allen's going crazy, and I think it's going to be a little bit too much for the Steelers. So I got Buffalo winning, and I got them. I got them at 35-14.
Blowout. Anthony, did you
Blowout.
give your score? I forget. Did you give your
I
score?
didn't give a score. I didn't give a score, but it's going to be close to like what Brandon said there. I'm thinking like 35, probably 17, 35, 20, something like that.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So this is what I will say on the subject. I liked some of what you guys said, but then I also did not like some of what you guys said because I think the Steelers have found themselves in the last 3 weeks. And by finding themselves, it's running the ball, man. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are moving. So if we can get that running game going, if we can eat up that time of possession, I don't care if it's the Ravens starting lineup or their backups, we can run the ball. We beat them in the regular season. We beat their backups. So if we can keep the running game going and Najee going, I like that for the Steelers. Now, it is unfortunate, TJ Watt, he's going to be out a minimum of 2 weeks right now. Well, he might come back second game if they were to win, which is a big if. Right now, their Bills are favored by 10. But if he can come back, that would be great. But they have to win this game. Who will be coming back, most likely, should be Minka Fitzpatrick, which will be good because now we can move Patrick Peterson from safety position back to corner because we don't have depth there. But I even worry with him moving to corner, I worry about, I feel okay with Stephon Diggs and Joey Porter Jr. Not terrible, but not great. But I think last time, maybe if you're looking to put in a bet, I think last time Gabe Davis went up against Levi Wallace, who is our number 2 cornerback. He went for probably $150 and 2 touchdowns or something like that. So maybe a little bit of a bet there to look at Gabe Davis kind of having a day against the Steelers. But nevertheless, if the Steelers were to win this game, it would be Steelers 20, Bills 17. And the only way that's going to happen is by controlling the clock, controlling time possession, running the ball. And, Josh Allen, he's been playing really well, but he still makes some really dumb interceptions sometimes. Even this past week, he was running off his back foot on 4th and 2 and threw it about a mile into the end zone and it got intercepted. So you just have to hope that you can cause some type of trouble for Josh Allen in that offense, because if you can't, it will be a blowout. So if the Steelers can stay on top, I have them winning 20-17. But if they can't, it's going to be a blowout. Final thing I wanted to say about this was that George Pickens, if you get him going, that's fine. He didn't get going this last week, but that's because they relied so much on their run. But that being said, I think that this is going to be another weather game, just like the past week. So expect to put in a bet for Najee Harris to carry that ball a lot. And Anthony's cat would even agree with that Najee Harris will be the play this week. So that's how I have it going, Steelers 2017, hopefully. Okay, next matchup we have the Green Bay Packers are traveling to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by
Ooh.
7.5. Jordan Love's been on a hot streak. Got a little incentive bonus for getting them into the playoffs. Brandon, how do you see this one going?
This one's tough because I like what the Packers have been doing with Jordan Love. I think he's been playing out of his mind, but Dallas at home has been a crazy team to play against. I mean, you guys have seen the stats; it's insane. I got Dallas taking it. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people think. You know, Jordan Love he's playing good. He's going up against a strong Dallas defense, but um, at the end of the day, I can't bet against Dallas at home, so I got to take them. And I'm looking at 24-20 with the Cowboys taking the win.
And this is another scripted. We got another revenge game here in a sense because we have Mike McCarthy, head coach, going up against his former team, Green Bay Packers. So this could be interesting. Nevertheless, I have the Cowboys continuing to dominate at home with that high power offense against the Packers' weak defense. I think Jordan Love will put up a fight though and cover the spread. I think we have Cowboys 31, Packers 24, covering the 7.5, but Cowboys taking the win. Anthony, what do you think?
Oh, Mike, we've talked a lot about the Cowboys over the season. Um, I started off as not a fan of Dak Prescott. I thought he was overrated. I thought he was middle of the field, average, run of the mill quarterback. And I didn't think he was elite enough to take a team deep in the playoffs. He's definitely changed my mind. This team has changed my mind. They have got Tony Pollard running again. CeeDee Lamb is an absolute beast on the field. Dak Prescott showing off his skills. He can get everybody in the offense involved. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Packers because even if the Cowboys get thrown off their game a little, they're tight knit. They can get the ball rolling as quick as they can as the next possession. I mean, their defense is incredible. Bland has been having an outrageous season, setting the record for pick sixes. I mean, they're going to give Jordan Love and that Packers offense, who's, I believe they're pretty injured, right? I mean, Christian Watson's out.
I don't know the
Jalen Reed, I think, is down. I mean, they're going to struggle a little bit, even with how Jordan Love is playing at quarterback. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to take them like 28-17.
28.
I think they're gonna dominate the Packers at home, I think.
All right, so we're all on the same page with the Cowboys there. I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign that we're pretty much on the same page. Probably good, but we'll find out. This is the game that, besides the Steelers matchup, I'm most intrigued about and most excited for. The Rams are traveling to Detroit Lions. I mean, this is couldn't be scripted any better. You have the trade, Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford a few years ago. Matthew Stafford leaves Detroit Lions, goes to the Rams, wins a Super Bowl with McVay. Now he is coming home to Detroit to play. And Dan Campbell has the Lions buzzing right now. It's absolutely wild to think that this could be legitimately the most meaningful game for the Lions in the last 25, 30 years because they've been god awful for a long time. To get a win in the playoffs as they are favored to do right now, they're favored by 3 points against their former franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford, is absolutely unbelievable. I can't wait to watch this game. This is going to be electric because both offenses are insane. I love the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I absolutely love Jahmyr Gibbs. I love Goff right now. He's really doing really well for the Lions. And I have them beating the Rams on the last drive. I have Goff winning it on the last drive. 28-24. Even though that Rams offense is high flying with Cooper Kupp, and I really like Puka Nakua and everything going on there, but I think the Lions win this one 28-24. Very exciting though. Anthony, what do you think?
It is definitely the most interesting matchup this first round. I mean, like you said, I don't think it could have been more scripted. The script writers did great with this one. Both of those offenses are fantastic. The one thing I can't figure out, but I think will be resolved in this round here is the Lions. Some nights they're hot as can be, everything's clicking, and then some nights Jared Goff throws 3 picks, has a fumble, and they couldn't get anything going. I know they picked it up at the end of the season there, and this is why I'm saying this. I mean, they're going to be mad from that Cowboys loss. That was outrageous what happened there. Coming into this first round here, they're still going to be fueled by that. I mean, even though the Rams, like you said, are having a good little streak here, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua especially, I think the Lions overall are just going to be a better team. And I don't think that the Rams are going to have anything to counter them, honestly.
So what do you think the score will be, Anthony?
I like the idea of the Lions having a game-winning drive, but I don't think they're going to let it get that close again, let it come down to like that 2-point conversion or anything like that again. I'm thinking like 30-21, something like that.
Well, one thing's for sure, that's going to be must-watch television. I would absolutely love to see Dan Campbell get a win there. He's up there for one of my favorite coaches in the NFL right now. He's fantastic. Brendan, are we all going to agree? Are the Lions going to win this game, or who's coming out on top here?
I wish I could disagree with you guys, but I just can't. Especially after seeing what they did in Dallas. Unbelievable what they did. In my head, they won, and they should have won. So it'd be tough for me to take the Rams in this instance, especially knowing that they're going to come out hot. They're fuming from it still. You saw the post game with Dan Campbell not wanting to talk about it, and saw the passion of the players on the field with the call. So they're carrying that. That's a team that it's a gritty team. You see the interviews with Campbell about biting people's kneecaps off. He's a gritty dude. So I think they're going to use that as motivation, and I think they're going to come out swinging. And I wish I could show you what I have written down here, but I have the handwriting of a 6-year-old with no arms. But I do have the score as 28-24 with the Lions winning. Mike, we got the same score on that one.
28-24, is that right? Okay.
28-24. That's what I got here. And I'm sticking
Maybe
to
if
it.
we were to put in that as a correct score, I'm going to do
They
that.
don't call me bankroll Brandon for no reason. You don't got to convince me.
If you put in Lions 28, Rams 24, $10 wins. $10 wins 2,000. So the odds on that are pretty extreme. Lions 28, Rams 24. So I don't know. Are we profits? Maybe. Time will tell. But if it is, you're welcome for the money. So there you go.
I'll put it this way. I spent $20 on some scratchers across the street at the gas station a few days ago. So if you don't think I got $10 to throw at 28-24, you're out of your mind. I'm locking it in. Bet of the week.
Okay. Bet of the week. I mean, I'm not sure if that's a lock or not.
That's not a lock. It is not the lock of the week. I want to make that very clear. Bet of the week and lock of the week are two very different.
You heard it
bets.
here first. Brandon Lesh said it is lock of the week. Lions 28, Rams 24.
Throw the rent on it.
2,000. Now, I mean, I would almost rather take that instead of $20 on scratch off tickets at your closest gas station. I'd rather just put it on that game spread. Or not even spread the score. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said 100 times, love Dan Campbell, Lions. I would argue that this would be a more meaningful win than any other matchup this week, even for the Browns or Steelers or anybody. Detroit needs this one. Last game this week, we have the Eagles and the Bucks. So the thing about that game, the Eagles have been slow lately. They might not be the team that we once thought they were, I was really high on them early this season, and they have been on the decline. Eagles traveling to Tampa Bay. Brandon, what's going to happen?
This is tough. This is definitely the most, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but I am very interested to watch this game on Monday night. The Eagles, they've been powerhouses. We've seen them at times. Jalen Hurts is unstoppable. AJ Brown's unstoppable. DeAndre Swift is making a case for one of the best backs in the league. But how they have been playing these last couple weeks is insane to me, especially last week, with the Giants putting numbers up on them. I believe it was the Cardinals, right? The Cardinals were the other team to knock them down, if I'm not mistaken on that. Was it the Cardinals, right?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It sure was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
all right, yeah. So all these things considered, it's tough, but I gotta go with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Gotta go with them. Baker's my guy. Mike Evans is a star receiver. I saw a stat today, and it was the most. I don't think it was consecutive. I think it was the most 1,000-yard receiving games in a season, or so. Most seasons with 1,000 yards.
Yeah, guess who
Mike
it is?
Evans is on this list with Hall of Famers. We're talking Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens. We're talking Hall of Famers. Mike Evans, people don't give him enough credit. That's a separate topic for another day. But give me the damn Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The spread's minus, what is it? -3 for the Eagles right now.
Eagles
Lock
-3.
of the week, +3 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because I tell you what, if the Eagles do win, it's going to be by a last-second field goal with their star kicker, Jake Elliott. Their offense can't do it. Maybe they flip a switch for the playoffs, but as far as I've seen, and as far as I'm concerned, the birds ain't flying. So give me the Bucs and give me them 24-21.
Anthony, I think it will be very difficult to top Brandon's energy and his passion on that one. I'm gonna let you go next, and I'll wrap that up.
Hold on, before Anthony goes, I forgot one more thing. Baker Mayfield is having one of the best seasons he's had since he led the Browns to the playoffs. And he had a little bit of a downslope last week and the week before, but there was a point where the guy was at, I think it was like 28 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. It was something insane. And he's been automatic. He's been throwing it. And, frankly, Cleveland did him wrong. I'll go on record saying that. I still believe it to this day. If business is business, though. That is what it is. I'm still a Baker fan. I'll always be a Baker fan. And he's been doing it, and I think he'll do it again Monday night.
Well, I love Baker too. I think that he was the guy in Cleveland. And just like you said, save that chat for another day. We will talk about the Deshaun Watson deal being the worst contract in NFL history. But we can wait to do that another day because, actually it might be a short conversation because I don't know how you would argue that. But Anthony, what do you think about this? Do you think Bucks as the underdogs beating the Eagles? Still the Eagles, man. What do you think?
I hate the Eagles. I'm gonna be honest. I think they are the frauds of the NFL this year. The last couple of weeks have shown it. They have problems in their locker room. They're not happy with what's going on. The whether it's the play calling or whatever's happening over there. I don't like them. I'm very glad that Baker got a new start on the Bucks. I like Baker. I love his fire. I love his love for the game. But I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. I really don't. I'm sorry. I got to disagree with Brandon. As much as I hate the Eagles, and how annoying their fan base is, I mean, there's no way they're going to lose in round one. I think they'll put it together for a little bit and maybe get knocked out later, but I don't think they're losing round one.
What do you think? How do you think the score is going to go? Is it going to be close at least?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I didn't know who was playing, but They only put up 3 field goals against the Panthers. I mean, hey, you can't be going into round 1 of the playoffs with a performance like that. So I mean, I'm gonna say like 28-10. I just don't think they're gonna get it done.
I will say this: the Bucks at home against the Eagles. Granted, they only did put up 9 points, but Monday's a new day, baby. Monday's a new day. Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield are dogs, with the Eagles coming in on a decline.
They're
Give me
tired.
the Bucks 20-16. Ride the dog. Take the +3. I have that down, and I love to see Bucks win week 1 and then probably lose week 2. But they get this first win. So I have Mike Evans having a day, maybe get the running game going here a little bit. But man, the Eagles front is very tough. They've got a really good defense. That's why I have it going 2016. But I do think that, Jalen Hurts been injured this season. He's had a tough go. AJ Brown hasn't been producing as much as I would have liked. Devontae Smith, not as much. And I think the Bucks are going to find a way, 20-16. So, man, that
I remember a certain playoff game where people were doubting Baker Mayfield and said that the Browns couldn't do it. And then there was a snap that went over some quarterback's head. I can't remember his name, but
it's Maurkice Pouncey. He sent it about 30 yards over Big Ben's head into the
Big Ben, that's his name. I knew there was a quarterback on the Steelers. I just couldn't remember his name.
Oh yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. You ever heard of him? Future Hall of
Famer?
No,
I couldn't remember, but I do remember.
You don't have any Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right?
And I do also remember a little a pick 6 that was done in that game. And there was a lot of defense in that game, but there was some offense too. And Baker Mayfield can produce that offense, and Tampa Bay doesn't have a bad defense either.
The thing about Baker is he's a winner, and I think he's going to win this game. But despite the fact of him being a winner, that doesn't change the fact that that quarterback you couldn't remember, Big Ben, was the winner in the Browns stadium for years, more so than any Browns quarterback they had. He is the all-time most winning quarterback in that stadium at that point in time. But I digress.
But do you want to hear another? I like to live in the future, so here's a good stat for you. Baker Mayfield has more wins in the playoffs against the Steelers than Big Ben has against the Browns in the playoffs. That's all I'll say about it. It's 100% true. We don't have to look into the reasons as to why it's true, but it is true.
That is true, and Baker also has more Super Bowl rings than Ben. Or shit, he doesn't. He doesn't have any, actually. Ben has 2, I think.
Like I said, I live in the present.
He has more wins, but, that's okay.
I'm focused on this week, and we got to go 1-0. What we did last season doesn't matter. The next, you know why this game is the biggest game in my life? You know why?
Why?
Because it's the next one. That's why.
Yeah. And we don't want to talk about the Browns' future because then, again, we would end up with that terrible Deshaun Watson contract, which we definitely don't want to go into.
You might throw that hat out when we talk about the future. Joey, the real Joe Burrow, or I like to say Joe Burr, Joey Cool, is Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow.
Well, let's talk about Joe Flacco. Let's talk about it right now. I want to hear the Super Bowl predictions. Now, I made mine the other day, so I'm going to start off. Okay. If the Steelers are not able to beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, like I hope to God they will, if they don't, I have the Bills making it from the AFC, and I have the 49ers absolutely mauling everybody and making it through the NFC. I have the 49ers beating the Bills in the Super Bowl. Now, if by some miracle the Steelers are able to beat the Bills, then obviously the Bills won't be in the Super Bowl. But like I said right now, as I feel the Bills winning that game, then I have the Bills and the Niners in the Super Bowl. But the other team who I talked about, who I said is very good, who I think will make it to the AFC Championship game, is the Cleveland Browns, because I think they have something special going on, but I think they lose in the AFC Championship game to the Bills. So I have 49ers over the Bills in the Super Bowl. Anthony, who do you have?
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I've been thinking about this a lot since everything was locked in on Sunday there. Um, I mean, I don't see it going any other way than the 49ers and the Cowboys. Uh, I love the Cowboys so much, but I mean, the 49ers just dominate. As long as they can stay healthy, they're just dominating that division. Um, as for the AFC is so much tougher. Everything is so much closer over there. So many frauds I love calling out. Um, oh, it's such a tough one. I don't like the Bills either. I don't like the Bills. I think their hot streak has to end here at some point. Um, we've seen a couple times now that they fall apart in their playoff runs. I don't think they hold it together. Lamar Jackson, that team having a hell of a season. I'm gonna take. I think the Browns. I think the Browns make it against the Ravens in the AFC Championship, and I'm gonna put 49ers Browns in the Super Bowl.
That would be quite interesting to see. And one thing I want to say about all the people who think the Ravens are going to be the 1 seed going into the Super Bowl. Let me just tell you this. Lamar Jackson is 1-3 in the playoffs. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes in 4 playoff games and thrown 5 interceptions. I'll pick the Ravens when they show me a reason to pick them in the playoffs. Brandon, what do you have?
So you guys pretty much nailed it. While you're all talking, I got all the teams listed down here. I've been looking at them. I've been going back and forth in my head. And in the NFC, I agree with Anthony. It comes down to the Cowboys and the 49ers. I could see either one happening. The Cowboys on the road scare me, and the fact that they're the Cowboys also scares me. Like, they can't seem to win any big game when it really matters. Brock Purdy's young, but he's ready. Give me the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey, Debo, I think they have too many weapons. I think that NFC Championship game is going to boil down to those two teams, and the best of those two teams going to move on. I believe that team is going to be the 49ers. They have an additional rest period here where they can kind of game plan, and their offense has just been unbelievable. In the AFC, it's tough. I started this episode of Mike Drops the Mic by saying I'm not going to have any bias in any of my opinions, and I stand by that. But give me the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. The Browns are ready. We've been kicked, we've been beaten, we've been bruised, we've been spat on for years. I sat through a team who went 1-15, and I thought it couldn't get any worse, and we went 0-16 right after that. My biggest memory with this team is a missed field goal on a Christmas Eve game from the Chargers kicker, where we won and everyone said it was a Christmas miracle. Over the NFL Network, everybody was buzzing that the Browns got one win. And look at us, not even 5 years later, maybe 6 years later, and we got January Joe throwing dimes to Amari Cooper, setting records. We got a guy named Jerome Ford in the backfield with Pierre Strong. At the beginning of the season, who are these people? Nobody even knows them. Kevin Stefanski has taken this team. He's listened to all the haters, and he said, you know what? I got this. Don't worry about my play calling. I'll handle this team how I'm going to handle it. GM Andrew Berry has set him up with an amazing hire in Jim Schwartz for that defensive coordinator position. And ultimately, I think that is going to be the reason that we get to the Super Bowl is Jim Schwartz's defense and our amazing rookie Martin Emerson. We got Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward. If we get everybody healthy, obviously not everybody, but if we get the people who can be healthy ready by that time, I think there's no reason that any team in the AFC could beat this Cleveland defense with how our offense is rolling right now. And another thing, Joe Flacco currently is tied for the record of road playoffs wins with Tom Brady with 7 wins. If he gets one win this week against Houston, he will have that record. And January Joe is taking that and running with it. He's going to take that record. He's going to smash it. He's going to go to the Super Bowl. He's going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I said it. I want the Browns beating the 49ers like we did in week 5 off of a missed field goal. We are going to have the same thing. Everybody's going to be doubting us. And the Cleveland Browns are hoisting that Lombardi at the end of the season.
I'll tell you what, that would be one hell of a story. The Browns getting their first real Super Bowl championship here with January Joe, as Brandon likes to call him. And I do think that Kevin Stefanski deserves to win Coach of the Year, but I fear that will be the only winning will be coming from the Browns organization this year, as I think the 49ers will beat the living piss out of them. But time will tell. As you said, that offense is humming, but man, is that defense humming too. So we will see. Brandon, Anthony, any final thoughts? I mean, thank you both for coming on and, talking, giving some thoughts this week. We'll track and see how our predictions go. We were really all on the same page for the most part, except I took the Steelers 20-17. Anthony took the Eagles over the Bucks, but I think we're all pretty much on the same page. So yeah, I mean that's probably a good sign for running a 1, 2, 3, 4, 6-leg parlay. I guess maybe I don't know, maybe a little team ride situation. We might be millionaires by the next time we talk. We will see. But anything else you guys want to add here at the end?
I'll have something in closing here. I'll call it the Brandon's Bank Builder. I got a little 6-leg parlay action. I got a little odds here, and it might be something to chew on for a little bit here. So bear with me while I go through these 6. Number 1, if you guys can't tell, I really like Joe Flacco. I got Joe Flacco throwing for over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think this is a no-brainer. It's set at -115 odds, which I do not understand, but I'm taking it as he has hit it in every Browns start. Number 2, going in the Kansas City game, I got Mahomes. Same thing, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think he needs to get going, and I think this is the game that he's going to do that with. Going to the Bills, I got Dalton Kincaid, over 37.5 receiving yards. He's hit it in his last 2. He went 4 for 87 against New England and 8 for 84 against Miami. And I think Kincaid is going to give the Steelers defense some problems. In Dallas, I got Brandon Cooks going for over 39.5. Dallas at home is crazy. I think Brandon Cooks will get his looks. Probably not as many targets as CD, but a good amount of long distance downfields. I think he can manage 40 yards. Number 5 with the Bucks, I got Mike Evans anytime touchdown. The guy's been balling out. No reason that he can't score a touchdown with Baker Mayfield throwing dimes like he has been. And last but not least, I got Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions going for over 22.5 receiving yards. I think there's going to be a lot of dump-off situations, a couple screen plays, and we know that they don't look for Montgomery in those situations. They look for that speedster Gibbs. So all of these are going to combine to give you a staggering plus 1,843 odds. Now, if you're looking at a measly $15 bet, that will put you at a payout of $291.44, all for listening to Mike Drops the Mic.
Hey, buddy, I love that. I'm all over that. That's going to be a team ride as well as the Lions 28 and 28-24. But man, I tell you what, Dalton Kincaid and Gabe Davis are going to be a problem for the Steelers defense with that beat up secondary, still coming off injury, and the linebackers can't really cover. So look at Dalton Kincaid to carry a lot of yardage and targets over the middle. Gabe Davis to make some catches and some yards. Baby, look at Najee Harris to carry the load, man. Get Najee Harris in there from some yards because that's all we're going to be doing. He's going to put his snow tires on and he's going to be running in the snow. So again, that's what I'm going with. Anthony, I didn't come fully prepared with the numbers and everything like that. Maybe we'll try again. We decide to do this next week. unless we miss every single pick, and then we'll probably delete it. But
We delete the video.
Anthony, anything you just want to throw out a thought? Anything at all?
Oh boy, I would love to throw a little parlay maybe at the end of the video here. Just throw some text up on the screen. I gotta cook. Brandon came meal prepared, but I haven't done that yet. I haven't had a second to sit down and cook it up yet. But
Hey, I didn't even have
maybe
an
we can throw it out at the end of
appetizer.
the video.
I didn't even have
In my
Nothing.
defense, I've been off all day, so this is pretty much the highlight of my day. This is my social interaction. So I kind of went a little crazy here, and I also placed a few bets myself as the player props finally came out today. So I figured, if I'm placing stuff myself, I might as well see what I can do on the other end for the viewers at home. Try to get a couple wins.
Hey, Anthony, you know what you can do? Maybe put something in the comment below. Put a little Anthony's lock there at the bottom. Maybe we could do that if you want to try to get something. How's that sound?
Oh, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that.
And I also think what we should do, and maybe we also put this at the end of the video with some captions, each of us goes through and picks out of one of the games. It doesn't have to be which one. And we each pick one leg that we think will hit, make it a 3-leg parlay, and maybe we quit our jobs.
All right. Hell, I'll do it. I'll edit this, and then we'll maybe each pick a leg, and we'll run a 3-game or 3-leg parlay special, 3 of us. The D-Gen special.
D-Gen special.
Boosted.
We'll share it. We gotta put it on the screen. Share it with the.
All right. I'll put it at the
people.
very end. I'll put it at the very end. So again, weekend can't come soon enough. Thank you two for talking. And again, good luck to all the teams out there except for the Bills. And I hope that you guys enjoy watching, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Cheers, buds.
Thanks, Mike.